Hi, and welcome to my channel. I am going to be talking to you about something very important today if you are a Palantir investor or hope to become a Palantir investor. But before I do that, I want you to all do me a favor. Just check to see if you're subscribed to my channel. For some reason, YouTube has been automatically unsubscribing individuals, and I've been hearing about it. So I want to make sure you don't miss anything because what I have to share with you is going to help really increase your wealth. For those of you that are interested in Palantir earnings, they are Monday after the bell. And so I'm going to share with you what I am looking for. And I have 3 critical things I want to explain to you. But then I want you to stay to the end because there's a very important technical indicator that I will be watching. And quite frankly, it will dictate what I do after earnings, whether I continue to load up or whether I pull back on my constant investment into Palantir. One of the first things I will personally be looking for is their increase in overall growth rate for 2024, but even more importantly, their 4-year guidance for their anticipated growth rate. So they have been at about a 20% guidance, but quite frankly, that's just not enough to get to the price targets, at least the ones that I have been referring to. I did a video the other day where I had compared Palantir against other large names, and if they are expected to get to their 5-year price target of $150, they will have to have a growth rate of around 43% per year. So 20% just won't cut it. Now, it could be that 20% is just where they are because they are in the beginnings of getting into their stride for growth, and we could definitely scale up. But I will be watching for that number to better determine how realistic the price targets are, at least for my personal hope of it being to about $150 in a 5-year time frame. Another thing I will be looking for is the number of new contracts. Now, they have been working very hard to attract different commercial businesses and expand on their knowledge of what Palantir can do. And I was doing some research, and I love the way their website is laid out and how many different industries they are trying to appeal to. And I personally signed up for one of their Zoom calls, and I was most impressed with the follow-up that I received after attending. So one of the things that is always talked about, and I honestly don't know how critical it is because I think this company needs both, but it's the government contracts versus the commercial contracts. The reason I think both are so important to Palantir is the government contracts provide the stability that a company needs to know their baseline. But the commercial side of the business really is an open sky for Palantir. The more that they can attract various businesses to become interested in their platform, the better they will do. But they can always rely on the steady income from the government. And so I really think their business model is wonderful that they actually attract both. One provides the stability, the other provides the growth. So I think we'll be looking for the balance between the two. Now, one thing that's really interesting about Palantir when it comes to government contracts is you can't anticipate or expect when they might announce them because of the secrecy surrounding their government contracts. Literally, you wake up one day and it's announced and the price goes soaring. And so it's really hard to plan if you were going to be selling covered calls against Palantir because you could just wake up and see that your strike prices are blown through. So I'll get to that in another video, but it's just something to note. The third thing I will be looking for is, does Palantir announce that they are going to be executing share buybacks? Now, Wall Street loves share buybacks, and Palantir is approved to do them, but will they? Oftentimes, it shows their hand on their belief of future price action for their stock. Let's face it, Palantir has had an incredible run-up in the last quarter. So if they decide to take their extra cash and buy back shares, then they are of the sincere belief that their shares, even though they've run up, will be a lot higher in the future. Or did they decide against share buybacks and they feel like that money could be put to better use in a different vehicle? Oftentimes, Wall Street will decide how they evaluate a company based on the management's belief in their company's future valuation. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. What are the risks associated with earnings, especially with Palantir earnings? They have enjoyed quite the run-up over the last quarter. So some may speculate that all the good news, if we hear it, is already priced in. And that is a true risk. One has to consider if they are going to share enough positive future news to keep the price running higher than it currently is. Well, if that's the case, I have my plan ready. Now that you know what I'm looking for, I want to take you into the charts and I want to show you this critical key indicator that I'm going to be watching. And then it'll help you better understand what you might want to do based on how Palantir reacts to this one indicator. Here we are on the technical analysis tools that I use to evaluate all my stocks. And there's several, but the one I want to focus on right now for Palantir is this red line right here, the $21.50 mark. This is the all-important 200-day moving average. Why is the 200-day moving average such an important line in the sand? Well, it is looking at the averages over the past 200 days, and it is considered one of the last line of defenses for a stock to determine whether it's healthy or not. If Palantir uses the 200-day moving average as a springboard to then go up, then in my opinion, the floor has been set for this stock. So if you're a trader and you're an option seller, knowing where the current floor is very important because you would then be able to go and sell puts either at that level if you wanted to acquire more shares or below that level if your desire is to just hold on to the shares. Now, why is that 200-day moving average so important? Well, let me explain in layman's terms how I look at the 200-day moving average. As you can see on here, we have 3 different moving averages. We have the 20-day moving average, then right here in purple, I have the 50-day moving average, and then down here in red, I have the 200-day moving average. And so here's how I use a fun little analogy I came up with to best determine how these work. I like to envision a stock as walking on a tightrope. Let's say it's walking right up here at the $30 level, and it's trying to balance. If it teeters and falls, then it's got this net right here to catch it. This is the 20-day moving average. However, this net is not made of the strongest material. Maybe it's made of just a sheer mesh net. So it might catch it, but it might pierce down through it. And if it does, there's another net beneath it to catch it. It's the 50-day moving average. Now, this material is a little stronger. Let's say this is polyester, and it's pulled tightly, and a lot of times a stock may bounce off of it if it hits this level. But if it pierces through the 50-day moving average and closes below, our last line of defense for the stock is this 200-day moving average. And this material is made of a strong leather, so it's very likely to catch a stock. However, if a stock pierces below its last line of defense, then something's broken and we just need to let the stock fall and settle down and then assess the damage. And using that visual is what helps me better understand the importance of all these moving averages. Now today I talked all about earnings and what I'm looking for. If you're interested in learning more specifics on how to trade Palantir, I have recently produced 2 incredible videos. One explains how to do the core trading method on Palantir to increase your wealth, and the other one gives you a lot of great detail of how to run the wheel strategy on Palantir. If you are interested in having full-time access to me during the trading day, consider joining my private investment group in Discord. If you're interested in that, I want you to click the link below. It'll take you to a scheduler. You can schedule a very brief call. They'll show you the Discord. They'll explain what it's all about. They'll talk about pricing, and you can decide if it's right for you. For several of my members, it has been life-changing. I'm happy to share that several have been able to retire after having this type of mentorship, and a couple have even become recent millionaires. If you want to join all the fun, make sure you click that link below. I'd love to trade with you next week.